The disappearance of the Roanoke Colony remains a captivating and puzzling enigma in the annals of American history. Situated along the coast of present-day North Carolina, this early English settlement, founded in 1587, was intended to symbolize fresh opportunities in the uncharted lands of the New World. Surprisingly, upon Governor John White's return from a resupply mission in England in 1590, he was met with an abandoned colony devoid of any sign of its 115 inhabitants. A mysterious word, CROATOAN, had been intricately carved into a wooden post, leaving behind the only clue. Even after more than 4 centuries, the fate of the Roanoke colonists continues to baffle historians, archaeologists, and curious minds. In this video, we will be looking at everything you need to know about the disappearance of this mysterious colony. Spain held a prominent position as the dominant empire in exploration during the 16th century. Christopher Columbus' discovery of North America on behalf of Spain sparked the curiosity of numerous conquistadors who were inspired to embark on voyages and explore uncharted territories in Central and South America. Spain's rise to wealth was fueled by the discovery of precious metals and the acquisition of treasures from the Aztecs and Incas. England became fascinated with the exploration of the New World, driven by the desire to discover precious metals like gold, silver, and copper, following in the footsteps of the Spanish explorers of the 16th century. Another factor that motivated them to explore North America was their desire to convert native peoples to Protestantism. Religion also played a significant role in England's motivations to explore, as they sought to counter Spain's dominant Catholic influences. By establishing a colony off the Atlantic coast, the English aimed to expand their presence and seize opportunities for privateering and control of lucrative trading routes. Sir Walter Raleigh enjoyed the favor of Queen Elizabeth I, which led to him being granted permission for a reconnaissance expedition to North America. The initial expedition focused on exploring possible locations for future settlements along the Atlantic coast. After stumbling upon the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay during their initial expeditions, it was unanimously agreed that this spot was ideal for a settlement. Numerous challenges, such as conflicts with Native Americans and treacherous storms, posed significant problems for every expedition and settlement endeavor. Raleigh's plan for the first colony in Virginia was primarily centered around a military operation aimed at exploring and assessing the region's natural resources. The planned number of colonists was 69, but a staggering 600 men were sent on the voyage, with roughly half intended to stay at the colony, to be joined by a second wave at a later time. Ralph Lane was chosen as the governor of the colony, with Philip Amadas serving as admiral, while the fleet commander, Sir Richard Grenville, led the entire mission. Among the civilian attendants were Joachim Gans, a skilled metallurgist, Thomas Harriot, a renowned scientist, and John White, a talented artist. Manteo and Wanches, who had just returned from their visit to England, were also passengers on the voyage. Departing from Plymouth on April 9, 1585, the fleet set sail southward through the Bay of Biscay. During a powerful storm near Portugal, Tiger became separated from the rest of the fleet, and unfortunately, one of the pinnaces was lost at sea. Luckily, Fernandez had a contingency plan in place for this situation. The ships would rendezvous at Mosquiton, a location on the south coast of Puerto Rico. Advancing solo, Tiger swiftly sailed towards the Caribbean, reaching the designated meeting spot on May 11th before the other ships. During the wait for the fleet, Grenville wisely set up a base camp to provide his crew with a place to rest and protect themselves from potential Spanish threats. Lane's men saw this as a valuable chance to hone their skills in constructing the fortifications required for the upcoming establishment of the new colony. The crew eagerly began the task of replacing the lost pinnace, skillfully crafting nails and using local timber to construct a brand new ship. Elizabeth arrived on May 19th, just after the fort and pinnace were finished. The rest of the fleet failed to reach Mosquiton. One of the ships faced challenges near Jamaica and depleted its supplies, leading the captain to send 20 crew members ashore. Roebuck, Red Lion, and Dorothy made their way to the Outer Banks, reaching their destination in mid-June. Red Lion left approximately 30 men on Croatoan Island and set sail for privateering in Newfoundland. Meanwhile, Grenville reached out to the nearby Spanish authorities, seeking to acquire much-needed supplies. Due to the Spanish's failure to deliver the promised supplies, Grenville grew suspicious of their intentions. Consequently, he made the decision to abandon the temporary fort along with his ships. Grenville successfully seized 2 Spanish ships in the Mona Passage and incorporated them into his fleet. Lane embarked on a voyage aboard one of these ships to Salinas Bay, where he successfully seized the salt mounds that had been gathered by the Spanish. Once again, Lane constructed fortifications to safeguard his troops while they transported the salt. Grenville's ships proceeded to La Isabela, where the Spanish temporarily put aside their differences to engage in trade with the formidable English fleet. On June 7th, Grenville departed from Hispaniola to proceed towards the Outer Banks. The fleet made its way through an inlet on Wookokon Island, near present-day Roanoke Inlet, on June 26th. Tiger encountered a shoal, causing significant damage to the food supplies and nearly resulting in the destruction of the ship. There are indications that Grenville's fleet was intended to spend the winter with the new colony, possibly to promptly utilize it as a privateering base. Unfortunately, the wreck of Tiger put an end to any possibility. The remaining provisions were insufficient to accommodate the originally intended settlement size. In addition, the shallow inlets of the Outer Banks rendered the region impractical for accommodating large ships. The colony's main focus would now be to find a more suitable harbor. Following the necessary repairs, Tiger proceeded alongside the rest of the fleet to Port Ferdinando, where they were finally able to reunite with Roebuck and Dorothy. It is possible that the men who were left behind by Red Lion were also found during this period. On August 5th, John Arundel assumed control of one of the swifter ships and embarked on a journey back to England with the purpose of reporting the successful completion of the expedition. The loss of provisions from the Tiger had a significant impact on the colony's ability to support the intended number of settlers. Grenville made the decision to leave Lane with a small group of around 100 men. This number was deemed sufficient to achieve the colony's goals until a second fleet, set to depart from England in June 1585, could bring additional colonists and supplies. Little did Grenville know that the expedition had been redirected to Newfoundland. Its purpose was to alert fishing fleets about the Spanish' retaliation against English commercial vessels, which were being seized due to attacks by English privateers. Until a resupply mission could be arranged, Lane's colony would rely heavily on the goodwill of the natives. During the Tiger's repair, Grenville led an expedition to investigate Pamlico Sound and the Secautoan villages of Aquasukugak, Pamlico, and Secautoan. His party had the chance to interact with the locals, allowing Harriet and White to deeply examine Native American society. Despite the loss of most of their research during the colony's evacuation in 1586, Harriet's comprehensive study of Virginia's inhabitants and natural resources was published in 1588. The 1590 edition even featured engravings of White's illustrations. After this initial investigation, it was discovered that a silver cup had gone missing. Thinking that the item had been stolen, Grenville decided to send Amadas to lead a detachment back to Aquasukugak and demand the return of the missing property. Upon discovering the villagers' failure to produce the cup, the English deemed it imperative to take the decisive action to prevent any perception of vulnerability. Amadas and his men set fire to the entire town and its crops, causing the natives to flee in fear. Manteo organized a meeting between Grenville, Lane, and Grand Ganimeo with the purpose of securing land for the English settlement on Roanoke Island. Both parties acknowledged the island's strategic positioning for ocean access and evading detection from Spanish patrols. Lane initiated the construction of a fort on the northern side of the island. Unfortunately, there are no surviving renderings of the Roanoke fort. However, it is believed that its structure was likely similar to the one at Mosquito. Grenville embarked on his journey back to England aboard the Tiger on August 25, 1585. Several days later in Bermuda, Grenville made a daring move by raiding a sizable Spanish galleon, the Santa Maria de San Vicente, which had become separated from its fleet. The merchant ship, which Grenville took back to England as a prize, was loaded with enough treasure to make the entire Roanoke expedition profitable. This news sparked great excitement in Queen Elizabeth's court, igniting a renewed interest in Raleigh's colonization efforts. The Roebuck departed from Roanoke on September 8, 1585, leaving one of the pinnaces under the command of Amadas. According to records, Lane was accompanied by 107 men at the colony. Nevertheless, there's a difference of opinion among historians regarding whether White accompanied Grenville back to England or remained at Roanoke during the winter, despite not being listed as one of the colonists. Ralph Lane was tasked with overseeing the construction of temporary homes and a fortification, while awaiting Grenville's return with additional supplies. As Lane and the colonists grappled with their limited resources, they came to a crucial realization. They were in dire need of help from the Algonquins residing in the vicinity. During a brief period, the Roanoke colonists and Algonquins enjoyed a period of peaceful relations. Unfortunately, the colonists' insatiable desire for food ultimately destroyed this once harmonious relationship. The Algonquins were also affected by English diseases, like smallpox, which heightened tensions. The chief of the CROATOAN, one of the Algonquin tribes in the area, made the decision to remove the colonists from the area. Wingina came up with a plan to disrupt the colonists' food supply, forcing them to split into smaller groups in search of sustenance. This would give the CROATOAN tribe a significant advantage over the colonists. Surprisingly, Lane became aware of Wingina's plan and took action by having the chef killed in June 1596, effectively preventing it from being carried out. Concerned about the presence of Spanish ships and the escalating tensions with the CROATOAN tribe following the death of their chief, Lane and the colonists found solace when Sir Francis Drake unexpectedly arrived at Roanoke Island after his successful raids on Spanish vessels in the West Indies. Drake initially agreed to assist Lane in finding a more suitable location for the colonists to relocate. However, their plans were disrupted by an unexpected hurricane. Lane made the decision to abandon the endeavor of resettling, departed Roanoke Island alongside Drake, and returned to England. In 1587, another expedition was launched with the goal of colonizing North America for the second time. John White was selected as the governor of the new colony. He embarked on the journey with a group of 118 colonists, primarily from London. It is likely that many of them were motivated by their Puritan beliefs, as they sought to share their faith with the native peoples. The colonists reached Roanoke Island in July 1587. Originally, their intended settlement was in the Chesapeake Bay area. Nevertheless, navigator Simon Fernandez declined to guide the colonists along the Atlantic coast towards Chesapeake. There is speculation that his desire to swiftly return to the sea was driven by his intention to plunder Spanish ships for treasure on his journey back to England. The colonists repaired the houses left behind by Lane and the previous settlers. In August, White departed from the colonists and made his way back to England in order to procure additional supplies. He successfully returned to England in November and was prepared to embark on his journey back by March 1588. His plans to return to the colony were put on hold as the Privy Council prevented him from leaving, citing concerns about the Spanish Armada. The ships that White had planned on taking for his return were not adequately equipped for defense in the event of an encounter with the Spanish Armada. March 20th, 1590, marked the day when John White embarked on his voyage back to Roanoke Island with the aim of providing much-needed relief to the colonists he had left behind. White arrived at Roanoke Island in August, almost 3 years after his departure. There were no indications of the colonists, whether deceased or still breathing. The houses they had repaired had vanished, leaving behind only 2 remaining pieces of evidence that could potentially reveal their whereabouts. Upon John White's return to Roanoke Island, he was met with a perplexing sight. The colonists had vanished without a trace. Carved into a tree were the letters CRO, while on a wooden post, a remnant of the fortification, the word CROATOAN was etched. White set out on a journey to the island of CROATOAN, which is now called Hatteras Island, and is situated a mere 50 miles south of Roanoke Island. Unfortunately, White's journey to CROATOAN Island was thwarted by unfavorable weather conditions, leaving him with no answers about the fate of the colonists as he was compelled to return to England. Multiple theories were explored regarding the fate of the colonists. Despite the strained relations between the colonists and the Algonquin tribes in the area, it has been determined that not all of them were killed. There were no bodies or bones at the site, leaving no clues as to what happened to the colonists. Death by disease was also eliminated as a possibility for the same reason. When Captain John Smith arrived in present-day Virginia to establish the Jamestown colony in 1607, Chief Powhatan shared with him the information that the Roanoke colonists had previously been in his territory. According to Chief Powhatan, the colonists had claimed they were killed in order to discourage further colonization in the New World. While this account may hold validity for certain colonists, historians have explored alternative theories that are equally compelling. Intelligence on the Roanoke colonies have been collected by the Spanish Empire ever since Grenville's capture of Santa Maria de San Vicente in 1585. There were concerns that the English had set up a place for piracy in North America, but they couldn't find any evidence of such a base. There was no reason for them to think that Lane's colony had been abandoned, or that White's would be located in the same place. It appears that the Spanish had a rather exaggerated view of the English's achievements in Virginia. Rumors circulated that the English had stumbled upon a mountain made of diamonds, and even found a way to reach the Pacific Ocean. In 1588, after an unsuccessful reconnaissance mission, Philip II of Spain instructed Vicente Gonzalez to explore the Chesapeake Bay. Gonzalez was unable to find anything in Chesapeake, but on its way back, he happened to stumble upon Port Ferdinando outside the Outer Banks. The port seemed deserted. Gonzalez departed without completing a comprehensive investigation, despite the Spanish thinking that Gonzalez had found the hidden English base. The Spanish Armada's defeat stopped Philip from launching an immediate attack. There were rumors in 1590 about a plot to dismantle the Roanoke Colony and establish a Spanish colony in the Chesapeake Bay. However, it was later revealed that this information was intentionally spread to deceive English intelligence. A widely supported theory regarding the lost colony of Roanoke suggests that a group of colonists may have journeyed to CROATOAN and established a settlement in late 1587. The other colonists journeyed to the Chesapeake area, accompanied by Native American tribes, along the Lynnhaven and Elizabeth rivers. Prior to John White's departure from Roanoke in 1587 to acquire additional supplies, the colonists informed him of their plan to venture 50 miles into the mainland. There are multiple ways to interpret this. Historian James Horn provides his perspective on the potential meaning of his statement and identifies inconsistencies in the commonly held theory regarding the disappearance of the colonists. Horn suggests that the colonists intended to journey 50 miles into the mainland of the continent. According to James Horn, it is believed that the colonists left a small group at Roanoke Island to keep White informed about their new location. It is possible that another group of colonists made their way to the villages of the Tuscarora tribe in the coastal plain region of North Carolina. Horn suggests that the colonists who resided with the Tuscarora tribe managed to survive for approximately 10 years. However, their survival was cut short when warriors from the Powhatan and Pamunkey tribes journeyed down the Roanoke and Chowan rivers to eliminate them. It is possible that the colonists were killed in order to deter the English from sending more colonists to their land, or to prevent future colonists from reuniting with the Roanoke colonists. There is a chance that a small group of colonists made their way to CROATOAN Island and managed to survive. In the early 18th century, English explorer and naturalist John Lawson encountered a group of Croatoans, some of who had gray eyes. Horn speculated that the individuals with gray eyes might be descendants of the Roanoke colonists who reached Croatoan, as these features were unexpected for Croatoans. Although theories had been developed, there is still lack of sufficient evidence to definitively determine what happened to the Roanoke Island colonists. Have your own theories about what happened to the Roanoke colonists? Share them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for the more fascinating historical mysteries and unsolved enigmas. See you in the next video.